create operational strategy out of aspiration. Like that's a amazing skill set to have. And it's a hard person to find, I think, too.
Yeah, I'm still looking for him.
Yeah.
So, because that's the value of the organization, right? Like
Enterprise.
For me, the enterprise value is my number one focus now. But how that ties into EBITDA, and there's only three things you can do: revenue, margin.
Welcome to the Roofing Success Podcast. I'm Jim Aline, and I'm here to bring you insights from top leaders in the roofing industry to help you grow and scale your roofing business.
And
Joshua Swisher, North Face Construction. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Yeah. Welcome to the studio. You're a local here in Minnesota. So how'd you get into roofing?
Oh, excuse me. Well, I wanted a job, and I was 15, and I didn't have a driver's license. And my neighbor owned a roofing company, so my dad went and asked him if he needed any help, and he said, yeah. So I started roofing when I was 15, and man, dragging tarps and carrying bundles and all that fun jazz.
So you got the fun work in. You started with the real work.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's where it all started. I mean, I was a grunt worker for a few years as kind of shingle flipper, tarp dragger, bundle carrier.
Yeah.
And I worked cash for him in the summers and after school. And, then I started getting more skilled in regards to what I could do. I could do, installs and stuff like that. So then he was like, hey, I'll pay you by the square. Great. So I started getting paid by the square for tear off, tear on. And then I'd find my buddies and pay them hourly cash to come and help me to make more money.
Yeah.
And then came a point, like this was during the recession, right? I graduated in 2009. And during the recession, like kind of my options were, well, I was going to work and continue just working, but there's no jobs and there wasn't enough work. I was seeing the front seat. I was riding around in the front seat of a contractor that was dealing with it. So I saw everything from the repo people, the houses being lost, all that stuff. I even served papers as like a side job. So I even saw like those effects on things. And so I ended up going to Oak Ramsey Community College. And I took intro to business class with Dr. Jean Mago, who is still there. And I'm on the business advisory board there still 8 years in now. But I learned what an LLC was that night, January 11th, 2010. And that's when I filed the LLC for this company.
All right.
So then and the whole reason behind that was to prove I made money so I could buy a truck to impress girls. And there was no really further thought beyond like actually showing an income statement and actually like filing taxes and showing I made money. So that's where it started.
So you learned what an LLC was. You had learned how to do some of the grunt work. Sounded like you learned how to hire a little bit early on too.
I guess. Yeah.
Right? Like, and that, I think that's something that, we don't think about when we're starting these businesses is like that's not a skill that a lot of people have. So you were recruiting within your network.
Just my buddies.
Your buddies,
like, hey,
right?
Let's make some cash. I paid $10 cash an hour. And at the time, that was good money.
Yeah.
Like I was, I think before he paid me per square, he was paying me $25 an hour cash. And I was 17 because that was fast cash. No. We're past the point of like
statutory
limitations, but like I was making good money as a 17-year-old because I was fast. I was fast. I could tear off a lot, and like we were like a 3 to 4 person crew, and we'd do a 25 square roof off and on in a day.
Yeah,
but we would be there before sunup, and we would leave after sundown.
So now, what's been the journey of North Face? Right, you started there. You got the LLC filed. You got your truck. You impressed the girls.
I don't know if that's right. The truck that I bought was a 1997 truck with a V plow on it.
Okay.
Every truck that I bought has had a purpose, so it was never anything flashy or. It was all to serve a purpose to make more money and for the business. So.
And so now, where is North Face today? What's the journey been like?
The journey has been a fun journey, and a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
Educational moments, we'll call those. Well, from that point forward, I kept with my college career, but I was running the business while going to school. So I went to St. Cloud State University for a year pursuing entrepreneurship. Found my now wife, who was going to University Stout, and I wanted to be closer to home so I could work, right?
Yeah.
Closer to her. And I graduated from St. Cloud State, but while I was going to St. Cloud State, I got licensed as a general contractor. And so I was going to school Tuesday, Thursdays, or Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I would always line it up from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. my classes, like all day. I wouldn't see the sun, and then I would work on the other days, and I would work on the business during class. So I was running a business that by the time it graduated, I was able to buy a house and get married. And I'm like, well, do I go be a business analyst for Target for 50 grand a year, or do I just keep doing what I'm doing? I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, and it wasn't weird. Like I was doing a ton. I think I did $250,000 in revenue that year, like 160,000 the year before. And then it was 600,000. And then 2017 happened. And when you're the guy that's young and the social posting, everyone knows that I'm a roofer because I was Snapchatting everything I did to my friends, and like posting on Facebook and whatever. You get a lot of referrals, and we went to like 1.1 million. And I needed to hire someone. I hired a production manager, and then I hired my first salesperson spring of 2018, and then I hired a second salesperson, and then you fast forward, you go to 2.5 to 3 million, and then to 5 million, and then 1 year, 5 million to 12 million. And then you sustain 10 to 12 million for 3 years. And then you have this last year, market correction.
Market correction. That's right. Which is what, I mean, you got to drive around in the truck when the last one happened, right? Which was maybe more severe and a little bit more on the news.
Yeah, I would say
not as serious now than it was then, I don't think, but
we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
we'll see how it plays out.
We'll see how it plays out. But I think one thing that people aren't talking about is that it is kind of a recession going on. People's discretionary spending is down low. Their credit card debt is high.
That's right.
There's uncertainty and all those things playing together. And then there's other market conditions that aren't even being talked about, like the second generation labor contractors and their entry into the market. There's a lot of the private equity, which is the big talking point. But in reality, like they have an impact, but it's not the whole thing.
That's right.
There's a lot of aspects. And then you add inflation, COVID, and everyone got so bloated from COVID money and a mass amount of storms, and everyone got hooked on the teat.
We had a few good years here, boy. Like there were some good storms that came through.
And here's the thing: those PE companies bought at the peak.
That's right.
And they're hurting
for sure.
So, like, it's a very interesting thing to see where things hash out, and I think right now is an amazing opportunity. To kind of step forward into what the market needs.
What going back into those years? Where were those light bulb moments? What, maybe if it was a revenue level, or if it was like the amount of jobs you were doing, or if it was just some other spark, like along the way. I'm a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki books, right? Like
Rich Dad Poor
Dad, cash flow quadrant. And there's this journey in the cash flow quadrant from employee to self-employed to business owner to investor. That's kind of the path that he lays out in there. And you were essentially an employee, right? You became self-employed when you're doing a couple hundred grand a year and making a good living, and got to buy a house in your early 20s, it sounds like. And like you were, it's like a really like amazing thing. And then there was a point where it transitioned to business owner. Yeah. Right. And so where along that journey, what were some of those key moments along that journey?
It was the 2017 storm was the first one, I think, really. That forced me to have to delegate. I mean, I remember during that storm, in one day I had 12 projects going, and it was me, myself, and my wife answering the phone. It's unsustainable. And then, like, you're starting to think about, what is the thing that I can delegate out and keep momentum behind me where I really shine? I was like, well, I'm going to keep doing the customer interactions. I'm going to keep driving the sales because I'm going to be the best at selling. I can find someone to order, manage, and make sure the stuff is going the way I want it. That was the first inflection point. The second inflection point, I'll tie back to like one of our core values is constantly learning. And that got kind of instilled in me at a young age by my grandfather, my father. Everyone was a reader, like just studious. Like they were very scholarly.
Okay.
Me with a bachelor's degree, I'm the least educated person in my family. Let's put it that way. Like 100%. My mom's an attorney. My sister's an M&A attorney.
Got it.
And she's been in the private equity space in the roofing world and stuff too. But that constantly learning. So I was always like looking ahead at what businesses are doing it really well and what are they all doing in common. So I would sit and I'd work and watch. And like on Facebook, you could watch other people's pages and like compare and stuff. I would always be watching the big players that I thought were like top of the top in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
And I found something that they all had in common. They were part of these associations. And I looked up, the UASRC was one of them. It doesn't exist anymore, but I went to a training over the winter of 2017. So like almost a second inflection point at that time. And I got introduced to Jacob Sachs. I got introduced to Joe Hoffman. I got introduced to Wade Bond, went through some of that stuff. And then through those relationships, like Joe Hoffman Weber, like all that he had been through, he's like 10 steps ahead of where I was, right? But he was always open with resources and sharing and all those things. When he ended up introducing me then in 2019 to Jim Johnson, second inflection point.
Yep.
Like,
got the totes.
Yeah. But even before that, like from the constantly learning aspect, I had read Traction.
Yes.
I had been doing EOS level 10 meetings, even when we were 4 people in the company, trying.
Yeah.
I mean, trying, at least following that. And then the cool thing about like the education aspect that I had a unique journey is like when you're going for a business entrepreneurship degree, at the same time you're building your business. I had just bored in class. So I'd be on my computer and we're doing strategic planning and going through, okay, how does mission, vision, core values, all these like distill and translate down through the organization, your strategies, what types of strategies are there? Are you in a market penetration strategy? Are you in this type of strategy? And I would sit there and play with my business. And I wrote my mission and vision statement at that time. Cool. So like I had a lot of things already in place. Yeah. When I started working with Jim and his team, Nathan Thibodeau was my coach on that team. And then at that time, at the same time, the former CFO, Hoffman Weber, she had came on with Jim and they were starting to do the financial stuff. So that was like shortly after the financials. Yes. Like you got to know your numbers. And I went through about a 2-year journey with her of like just building out the books, the tracking, the data sets, all those things. Like I know where every penny goes in the business. And I have for the last 5-6 years. Yeah. Right. Like, so then getting into that and understanding those aspects, that was a big inflection point. But then massive growth, like organizationally, you have an idea of what it actually will look like, but until you do it, you don't realize. Like I said, in 2022, we had a big storm in the Zimmerman Elk River area, and it's like right before that, I had plans for growing, right? I was going to go from 5 million to 8 million, and I had the plan laid out. I knew what I needed to spend. I knew my acquisition costs. I knew my closing rates. I knew my average sale. Yep. And I had it mapped out. And then I even went to the point of like, assuming I don't get any referrals, I don't get any free leads, any of that stuff, how, from a budget standpoint and a 100% knowing, will I get the leads and the sales? And it was through my Google and those strategies that I've been doing, like with LSA, AdWords, and all that stuff, working with Hook Agency all those years going up. And I was like, all right, I'm going to spend this much in these months and this amount of time, and we're going to hit 8 million. Well, storm hit, and I didn't even dial back on the gas pedal. I'm like, nope, full send. We're going to go to 12.
This was our budget.
This is our budget. I'm just going to go. And that was a mistake.
All right.
That was a mistake. I should have eased up the gas pedal and actually had more of a sustainable growth, because you have ideas of what those roles, responsibilities, and positions are, but you don't actually understand how they translate to the bottom line and how they sustain and lean out for a long term, right? Like, so I was hiring people on salaries. I didn't have the KPIs and the measurements in place to make sure that not only at that time they were highly efficient with their effective nature in each position, and that I didn't have the operational leadership level in place and structure to have those internal organizational processes executed consistently, reporting. I didn't have the dashboards and the information transfer up to me besides just me.
Yep.
Right. So that was a mistake. And then, once you're there, you got to keep cracking that nut. Right.
Yeah. You can't go back at that point.
No, you can't go back. And honestly, like looking back, it's a huge lesson even now that I'm like seeing the full fruition of. It's like my biggest fear from a leadership standpoint was being disliked by my people.
Yeah.
And you know what? That was not leadership. Like, that's not leadership. Like, leadership is being a good steward of the business first and foremost, because that's a blessing on the people, not being a good steward of your relationships and care first, which you can do both. But I had way too much weight on that I just didn't have those conversations, didn't have those hard conversations, didn't make the decisions when they needed to be made, even if they were scary. So like, you keep this bloated amount. I threw bodies at scaling. And I think everyone who's been through a massive growth thing, like that's part of the game a little bit. And I remember Joe Hoffman telling me in 2018, he's like, yeah, we did 50 million from the 2017 storm, but we looked at the numbers and we looked at our staff and overhead and we cut it in half for the next year.
Yeah.
What? Why wouldn't you keep on the gas pedal? Keep going. I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s, right?
There are so many lessons.
There's so many lessons.
Do you think that you would have learned the lessons of that as impactfully if you didn't go like live it?
No.
Like, do you think you could have?
I'm arrogant.
Right, do you think Nathan and Jim could have sat down with you and said, "Look, Josh, this is here's your projections. Here's your hiring projections. Here's your don't sell more than this. Like, make sure that you're doing like it doesn't like." And I'm saying it a little rhetorically, right? Yeah. Because it's like. Yeah. None of us will do that. Like, if there is no way. No,
there's no way. And honestly, too, like, I'm my biggest liar to myself. Like, I am delusional on what I think is possible. Mm-hmm. And there's a huge benefit being a CEO and like pushing, like being the visionary, because you have a unique skill of being able to sell that vision and idea.
That's right.
And I'm very good at seeing the idea and where things need to go and getting people on the bandwagon. But then the implementation of that, right? It could have been done exactly how it should have been, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? And
that's the fantastic.
I wouldn't have learned the lesson appropriately.
That's right.
But it also, like, you can't be everything. And that's what I've realized, like, even going through the last year or two, I can't be everything. I have a unique set of skills. But having the right person in the right seat that complements those and having the authority to run that stuff is a blessing. Like, every big CEO that you know has their integrator. I mean, really. Like, you have like, Tommy Mello has Jim Leslie, right? Like, at A1 for anyone who, like follow.
He's been on the podcast a couple of times. Tommy has.
Oh, Tommy has. Yep. Okay, so, perfect. Yeah.
The audience knows Tommy Mello.
I'm a big Tommy Mello fanboy. Like, I really am. Like, and now I would say, like, two things. Number one, like, know the lesson what I've learned. You got to go through pain. Yeah. It's got to hurt. It's got to hurt enough.
That
just has what it has to be.
Yeah. And I think that's that's perspective on things, right? The art of luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah.
And you don't get to understand how that path crosses until you get to look back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But now all of those breadcrumbs are there. You can see why and you can accept it in a good way or a bad way, right? Like that this is what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like I needed this. Mm-hmm. Especially as visionaries, sometimes we need to be checked, right? Yeah. Like, we need a smack in the face that's like, whoa, you're way too far in the clouds on this one, right? Yeah. I want to go back to a couple of things.
Yeah.
For people in those early stages, it feels like the delegation is the hardest. What for you, it seemed like it was just out of necessity at the time. Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for someone now that just they can't get out of their own way in terms of delegation.
Oh man, everyone's perspective and it's so unique to them and where they're at. But I think in general, exercise to go through would be, where are you spending your time? Number one, like sounds so basic and dumb, but like, where are you spending your time? And where is the value in that time? Is it like giving? Is it taking? Is it like, where is that going? And what things? And it's like that whole thing, Dan Martell, like buy back your time.
Buy back your time.
I mean, honestly, that's a great place to start just from an educational standpoint. Like have that reality check of if it can be done more affordably and quicker and more effectively, it can be systematized, it needs to be delegated. And that's where I struggle with like the actual dictation of those processes and giving the time to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Where are you spending your time? Are you building in it, the business, or are you in it?
Yeah.
And that is a big inflection point. And honestly, a lot of people, there are the 1%ers, right? Like that can learn the lesson and implement it and follow that, but it's not going to be perfect. You got to go through the pain of the lessons. I mean, my advice is to look at where you're spending your time and then see in your resource network, is there an opportunity for offsetting that? It can be as simple as a technology. It could be as simple as just these free tools out there, what's out there, like taking the time. And I also would say like having that reflection time. And that's one thing I will give a lot of credit to Jim Johnson on, is like a lot of the focus from his coaching, and just networking over the years is it's not all about business. You have to take care of you. And if you're not healthy, your business is not healthy. And I was unhealthy during all of this growth period, right? I was an unhealthy, unbalanced person in a lot of ways, like spiritually, physically, emotionally, like all those things. But you come to an inflection point where you need to get a step back. Step back. What is important to you? Are you really pursuing and spending the time on the things that fill you? Because if maybe you spend a little less time on these things that are to show off to others that I'm important, I'm cool, I'm all these things, I'm holding on to control just for my own ego. What is really important is it time with your family? Is it keeping your physical health? Is it your spiritual connection with your higher power? Is it like being alone and being healthy, having fun? Like that, I mean, ultimately, what are we trying to do here?
Yeah.
We're trying to live a good life. And I think starting there with knowing what that is to you personally will then give some clarity on your business practices as well, comparing what is the ideal life that I want to live? And what am I doing right now that is in conflict? And where is that balance out?
This is a very successful person's thought process, Josh. Like remember back to those early days, how hard would it have been to visualize what you have now? Right. And this is, and I'm just saying, like,
dude, I'm a dreamer because in my mind, it's like, if you rewound back to like young Josh, honestly, I would be farther along. Like this is just a step. And that's where like a big toxic, but beneficial aspect of me is like when I accomplish something, I'm like, this is just part of the plan. I have a hard time stepping back and recognizing and celebrating it.
I do too.
But it is the little things you got to slow down and celebrate. And that's where like I've had a lot of lessons learned, like even organizationally, like people like, we accomplished this. We didn't even stop to like recognize them. Yeah. I was so tied up in like the accomplishments and the next thing that like, that's not everything, so.
It's a challenging thing. One of the things that you talked about is you started EOS early on, and that I'm a big fan of EOS. Visionary integrator. It's finding that right integrator to kind of filter that aspiration through, and create operational strategy out of aspiration. Like that's a amazing skill set to have, and it's a hard person to find, I think, too.
Yeah, I'm still looking for him.
Yeah,
so
you're hiring. All right.
If you're an integrator and you think you could bring value, reach out to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of really cool things going back to the time aspect of it. There's a really cool thing in EOS called Delegate and Elevate.
Yeah.
So with the accountability chart, I think that's a great place to look at that future vision in terms of people. And was it Jen that you worked with? from Refinery, Jim
Yeah,
Johnson's,
Jenny.
right? Yeah.
You know Jenny.
Yeah, I know Jen
Okay,
and Roz very well.
Yeah,
and
you
Roz
do.
has
Yeah.
been on the podcast many times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Roz, I worked with her for creating
That's right.
a lot of stuff.
So I think that another thing that people don't look at and they don't focus on early on, what point in your journey did you really get to focus on those finances?
That was in 2018 when I started.
Okay, so
it was 2020.
2020. So
2020.
So you'd already had some years of growth and the storms were happening and and what was the trigger for you? What was it like? Was it just part of the coaching program that
it was part of the coaching? Jenny's a part of this.
Look at this.
Jenny's a part of this. You'll be the first one to work with her on this as part of our program, and then just kept running with stuff there.
What were some of those first lessons around finance? Like all of a sudden, you have someone that's a professional at this. They're putting together your financial statements. They're sitting down with you and looking at it. What were some of those first moments where you were like, wow,
it was just like the realization of I need to categorize this stuff into charts of accounts. And then like even this under those accounts, everyone has their own way and it's up to you to determine how you want to see it and perceive it. So it's like at the end of the day, a P&L get into the net, right? But like how you want to view it and monitor it, it's up to you. And without some experience, without some coaching, and you're going to be like, is this marketing spend? Is this a tech? Where do I account for this? Like, how do I want to utilize? Because like, what's in your marketing budget, right?
Yeah.
Are some things complementary to marketing from an operational sense? Absolutely. But is it how do you want to view your ROAS? Like, is that an actual view on that? But, do I have a system to now attribute each type of lead source over to my cost of acquisition, my revenue, my margin, my velocity, like tying all those things we're getting into the weeds on that, but like just like chart of accounts and knowing what it is and knowing where you want to be margin wise and like budget, the budget. And that was a big thing that I actually, even with having all the numbers, me being in visionary crazy land, I was always trying to push the envelope. I'm like, I'm going to budget for more. And that's a lesson for every business owner. Don't invest for what you think is going to come. Invest based on the performance you already had. Build up that war chest first.
Tell me about that.
So like when you grow fast,
yes,
you hit a cash flow challenge. 5 million to 12 million in 6 months. And your operations and how you have them set up for that, like we were paying bonuses out on the moment it was sold. You don't have a staffing plan, a recruiting plan, an operational KPI plan, an accountability plan to make sure that not only are they hitting those bonuses those months, but maintaining, because if they drop off and they quit, they burn out, who's going to step in? Now you overpaid on your cost of goods sold. Now you're not in the margins. And then also your cash outflow, your cash inflow, monitoring and orchestrating the operational like boundaries on when that is. Like for me, we were just throwing cash out the window to grow. It was insane. And did we then recognize it? Now, that storm specifically was a multi-trade storm.
Yeah.
If it was just a vertical drop down roofing and gutters, wouldn't have been as big of a challenge, but it was roofing, siding, windows, gutters, all these multi-trades. So like you're pumping out 200 roofs in like a month. And then, we aren't going to final invoice because this insurance claim is because we can't get all the siding done over the winter. But we have a huge workload for the spring, right? So like, how are you changing those things? So like, looking back, I would have separated it into 2 contracts. This is your roofing. This is your roofing and gutters. And then this is the rest of the trades.
Yep.
Because you can invoice and collect on those things and how those systems are put in place from a supplementing standpoint. And then when those reward systems are paid out, everyone tied to the KPIs that actually move money in the business, not just like leading indicators of success, actual bottom line movements to the business. So like we made changes on the bonus structure in regards to when it's paid out. We made changes on those things because then also if you have turnover on the collections relations end, what is the cost of that? What is your AR timeline, right? And then that's the thing, like a lot of people don't realize, like a part of this business is the velocity. It's the velocity of everything. And if you're a Twin Cities contractor and you've been through these storms, you know the multi-trade challenges. I mean, I don't know if it's unique to the Twin Cities, but like we got vinyl siding and you get those wind-driven storms, it's a multi-trade. And the homeowners don't want to choose someone that's just going to do the roof. They do. There are companies that do that. One example of a company like that is the original like the nationwide Aspen, right?
Yep.
They came in, boom, 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 roofs. We'd come in and do the siding, windows afterwards. But that was their model.
Yep.
And that's how they're lean, mean machines.
Before we carry on with the episode, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors. Roofers, let's get real. You're great at building roofs, but are you great at building a steady stream of leads? That's where Job Nimbus Marketing comes in. They know the roofing industry inside and out, and they'll help you dominate Google, Facebook, reputation management, and everything in between. If you want more quality leads, more booked jobs, and more growth, visit the link in the description or the sponsors page on the Roofing Success Podcast website. I talk to contractors every day that feel stuck. Not because they're not working hard, but because they're missing the structure to growth without chaos. Or their culture's falling apart because their team's unclear, unaligned, or just burned out. And when change hits, they're reacting instead of leading because time and priorities aren't under their control. Day 41 Thrive helps to fix that with proven strategies for growth, culture, and leadership that actually work. Ready to thrive beyond the storm? Visit the link in the description or visit the Roofing Success Podcast website on the sponsors page to start your journey today. Fuel is one of the top 3 overhead costs for a roofing business. You need our sponsor, Coast, the fuel card built for the modern contractor. Here's why roofing companies are switching. 1, total flexibility. It's a Visa. Your crew fuels at the closest station to your job, saving you hours of billable time every week. Bulletproof security. With Coast's telematic integrations, the gallons purchased are checked against the actual tank capacity, so you'll be instantly alerted if a fill-up exceeds what the tank capacity is left. No portal charges, just a clean $4 per user monthly flat rate. Click the link in the description to get started with Coast. The Coast Visa commercial credit card is issued by Celtic Bank, subject to credit approval. Results may vary. It's a fun thing to me in business that I kind of started describing it as you get to choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
Right? Like there is no one way. You mentioned a few things along the way, like even looking at your finances, you can look at it in multiple different ways. You can be a multi-trade contractor. You could be a single, and be successful doing any of them. You pick your model. You can be successful doing it if you focus on that. Now, I do think that sometimes, I do think early on, being too wide just is distracting.
Oh, 100%.
I would rather someone go single trade roofing gutter, right? Like just do roofing gutters, run that until they have enough of a pipeline and there's a demand for adding.
Yeah. It's a tuck under kind of vertical.
A tuck under verticals, right? Instead of, we'll take any money you'll give us.
Yeah.
Because that's not good money. Like, no, all money isn't good money, right?
No, it's not. And that was one lesson I had in 2016 is I took on a $250,000 addition. Of the 600 some thousand, $250,000 was one project. I made $9,000 over the course of a year and a half. And like I had these grandiose visions of like, I'm going to be a specialty contractor. I'm going to build the most beautiful homes, the most high-end remodels. I did that project and it went well. And I even like went out to that customer's house 10 years later, like just this winter because he wants to upgrade some windows. And I was like, I need to talk to him. But he's like, you still doing additions? I said, nope, it was just yours. He's like, I thought it went great. I'm like, I learned that I know what I know.
Yep.
And it's the exteriors. But that was a pivotal moment on that. I'm like, I do exteriors because the process flow, and I did dabble a little bit on a build. I built my parents' home in 2019, 2020 with some partners on a startup. We were going to do a spec home business. We did it. They loved the process. My parents loved the process. I was like, nah, there's way too much margin in what I do and the speed. Like, I just cannot do this. So then we kind of dissipated that. One build and done.
The speed is so attractive.
Yes.
In all exterior contracting, right? Like interior contracting,
it's a whole different animal. When you're tearing apart someone's kitchen or bathroom, their living space, you are a counselor. You're all those things, but you can end up in that situation in exteriors already. But when you're disrupting their day-to-day life, they have kids, they have schedules, you're in there for months with them personally. It's a whole different dynamic. And if you don't have the systems and processes and experience doing it,
and
the people that can handle that,
it's because there's a much different relationship that you're building.
I learned, I'm like, nope, I'm not doing this. Like, can I do it? Absolutely. Do I enjoy it? No, because for me, my energy, it took too much out of me.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
So it's back to the finances. There's so many ways to look at it. Cash flow in, cash accumulated is kind of sounds like a metric that you're tracking, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like that speed of that velocity of and your AR and getting the cash back in. Not that you're tracking this specifically, but how are you looking at that? Like, what's the couple of metrics that you're looking at now on your finances that are like, if these 2-3 things are going well,
I mean,
there's
only, it's like Jenny said, there's only 3 things you can change in the business to change the profit. Ultimately, like for me, EBITDA is the number one driver, because that's the value of the organization, right? Like
enterprise.
For me, the enterprise value is my number one focus now. But how that ties into EBITDA, and there's only 3 things you can do: revenue, margin, and overhead. And refining those things. So like right now for me, it's about, like for 2026, I have a pro forma. I have the budget by month, by chart of accounts, by everything that these are the numbers that have to hit. And here's the cash inflow and here's the cash outflow, and retaining those things and building up that war chest to go through and like hit those next stages. And honestly, like that whole growth pattern of like the big ups and downs, it's never appealed to me. I've never been a door knocking organization. We've been a brand-based, customer relationship focused one. And because I just don't like relying on acts of God for my income. And I've always wanted to build a sustainable model, like acquisition of customers, conversion into higher tickets, and lifetime customer value is what I'm after over a long term.
What do you shoot for in terms of customer acquisition cost and long-term value of a customer? Like, what are you, like, if in your let's start with an ideal world. An ideal world where you're actually doing marketing and you're paying for customers. It's not all, of course it's zero, like in the real world.
In the real world,
what are you shooting for from a customer acquisition cost? What number tells you, like maybe you're adding a new marketing channel. What number will tell you if that marketing channel is healthy or not, or if you're on track or off track in that market?
Well, there's a lot of subcategories, metrics that you're watching, but ultimately, like, what am I getting on the profit by this trade type? On that, and what was the cost versus that to get that? What's the conversions? What is the money in to get to pull money out? Like, can I put $1 in to pull the $1.20 out? And is it systematic? So, oh man, there's so many sub things that you can go to that.
Let's talk about roofing then. A new roofing customer. What is the most you would pay based on what you understand about your company and how you create long-term value and referrals and things like that? Like what's the high end, and what is, like, if we're hitting this, we're printing money?
Oh, like last year, what I had in my budget and my plan was up to $1,600 to get a customer on our average ticket of 17.
That's right.
So
1,600.
I mean, that's what it was last year. But where, like for us, where I had it all laid out, right? I looked at my conversions, my closing rate, my average ticket, and I used all that data from all the years past, and I applied it to 2026.
Yeah.
And I knew, then I tracked the velocity on how stuff hits my P&L. And I saw the indicators of 2024 showing a little bit of what we saw in 2025 on the residential side.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I need to get ahead of the curve. So February, March, April, May. I mean, I was putting $50,000 a month. I was hitting the amount of leads, the set rate from the CSR standpoint, and then hitting the other numbers. Where the interesting thing came in this last year was the average ticket. The average ticket dropped below what we had seen.
Wow.
But that also is, what are you offering? Like, we do repairs, which that's fine. How are the margins and the sales processes on that to sustain? So that's where I missed the mark this last year, was the average ticket.
Got it.
And the processes behind what exactly are the definitions of these repair service lines, the pricing model, the pricing strategy, and all those things. And was it there? I mean, I can look back at like all those metrics and I'm like, I have a solid proof of concept here.
Yeah.
Like very solid proof of concept, because for me, all the years past, a minimum of 25, but it is about 35% of my customers and revenue a year comes from previous customers and referrals. And that's without even putting effort in. That's just from going through the experience with North Face. I'm shooting to get that up to 50%. But what that means is, from a marketing standpoint, my acquisition, I can now pay double what anyone else pays at a more affordable price rate than what other people can. And that's kind of the thought process behind my strategy. So the big metrics I'm always looking for, how many zero cost leads that are converting at a closing rate that is high to offset and enhance what I can spend from a branding and acquisition standpoint.
The customer, the company that can pay the most for a customer will win.
Mm-hmm.
It's an old analogy, right? Like, and it's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And
why do you think those big companies we talked about are at that?
That's right.
I mean, Debella, Power, all these places, they have it dialed in. They know how to do it.
So I think that, we had a marketing agency. So we always had the conversation around the leads and the quality of lead and that. But there are other levers that I think contractors overlook in getting their customer acquisition cost down and their long-term value up. What are those levers to you?
I think a huge one that remodelers don't even think about, like remodelers, roofers, is your phones. It is your phones, your response time to leads, your training of them, and scripting, and also just all that stuff. I think it's like, I was listening to a podcast the other day, Brigham with Power Selling Pros, right? Every 1% increase on your set rate, that's a 1% revenue increase. So if you did 10 million last year and you increased 1% on your set rate, that's $100,000 in revenue on what you're already doing. Yeah. So there are just practicing, scripting, and then just even how fast or your phone systems, when are they being answered? Do you have the people that, what performance plans? And that's where the whole aspect. I look at the whole changes in the roofing industry, and you can look at plumbing, HVAC, and all that stuff. We're 5 to 7 years behind them. You just look at what those guys are doing, and that's what you should be doing right now. Look at Lance and what Lance Bach, what he's doing in that stuff. He knows that. Yep. He already has the playbook built out, and he's doing it. That's where things are going. I mean, if Service Titan is just in the first inning of roofing, they're in the first inning. They got whole nother inning on this. And where I see things going from a big market shift is, we are exterior service professionals. We are not I show up, I only do it.
Yep.
And the reason being is acquisition. Because if you can acquire these customers, even at a break even or profitably at low ticket service items, what does that look like when you hand it off to your sales team? What kind of closing rates do those have? What kind of average ticket do they have? How much can you pay these people? Everyone's going to come want to work for you if their average sales $50,000 and their closing rate is 50%, because all the leads are processed, handled, and done well by a service technician.
And that first interaction with your company, like it changes things.
Yeah.
For the sales rep.
Oh yeah.
If you can essentially, you're just loading the gun for them.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like if you could impress someone on how fast you responded to them, how knowledgeable your team was in helping them get to their solution of the appointment, like
it's just basics.
It's very basic.
Like answer the phone, show up when you say you're going to do it, follow up with like what you're going to do with them. It's crazy. Even just this week, we were interviewing a gentleman for a sales position, and he's from way up north in the more rural market. And he said, he's like, people on these rural markets, they tell me I'm the first contractor out of 10 that called them back.
I had
like, that is absolutely insane.
I've told the story probably too many times now on the podcast, but you're a Minnesota guy, and you know up north, and I know up north. And I had I got some gutters done on our lake house, and we were just doing our house down here. So a storm came through. We just did our house. The gutters were the guy that did our gutters came back to do a quick repair. And I had called the gutter company, left a message up there. It had been a week or so. So I'm like, hey, you want to drive up north? Well, I'll let you stay at the cabin, take your kids if you want. Like, we'll make a vacation out of it, do my gutter. Like, I'm trying to incentivize him. He goes up, does the gutters, comes back, gets a check, cashes the check, and has moved on from that job before the guy up there called me back.
Yeah.
It was 28 days.
Insane. I'll tell you what, like I went, just for the fun story, like last year, and maybe I'm giving away a little bit more than I should, but let's just say I went up north last year on a Saturday, and I wanted to kind of proof of concept something.
Yeah.
I knocked 37 doors in a non-storm environment. I sold 3 projects.
They're like, finally, we have someone to talk to.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I'm Josh. I'm just out here just saying hi, just thinking about expanding up in this area. Just wanted to kind of get feedback. Funny thing was, this location, most of the cabin owners live in the city.
Live in the cities, yeah.
And that whole thing of having a trustworthy, there's a lot more to that on that, but I can't.
I've had a lot of fantastic owners on the show who have really made a business model outside of the major metropolitan areas. Terry Gwaltney, down in he's in Illinois and Kentucky and into Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee, like all that area.
Okay,
like there's this no metro area for miles. His office is in a town of 50 people, and he at the last time I looked, he had over 250 reviews.
Yeah,
so his reviews were more than the population of the town he was in. But he covers a wide area because of that. But
the service expectations are so low,
and if you are a professional company in an unprofessional area, my goodness, like we're in a red ocean here in the Twin Cities.
Oh yeah,
there's 1 or 2 contractors. Just a couple, right? Like
there's a handful,
just a handful, right? Yeah. Like in a handful of, there's only a couple that are professional too, right? Like there's a lot of unprofessional ones, but there's a lot of great companies here.
There's a lot of great companies, great owners. And a lot of my competition, I love those guys. They're so cool. Like, how many people you go through what you go through that you can actually talk to about the nitty gritty, right? Yeah. Like, if you haven't talked to your competition or made friends with your competition, do it. Do it, because man, if you want some group therapy, that's a safe place.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned the big word a couple of times, or is it even a word? The big acronym, EBITDA, and how you have how that's come in. How has that come into your vocabulary? What, like, I know, we all know that private equity is big. And where did this, I think it's a concept that most contractors miss, or most business owners miss, is enterprise value.
Yeah.
How enterprise value is created. When we look at people like Elon Musk's wealth, net worth, Bill Gates' net worth, it's just the stock that they own in their company. It's not actual cash in the bank account, right? And so all of you own stock in your company, and you have there is an enterprise value of your company. And if you want to grow your retirement savings, right? There's no better way than to increase your EBITDA or do things strategically that would get you a better multiple on that EBITDA. The bottom line is increase your enterprise value. How has this become, like, where did this journey and learning, like, where did this enter your, like,
first time I entered in my vocabulary was in college.
Okay.
But actually understanding it in practice is in the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
When the private equity thing was starting up and going, I mean, I had lots of conversations. I had lots of options to sell.
Yep.
I didn't want to because a number of reasons, because I'm an ego-driven CEO that thinks he can figure everything out, A. And B, I have a problem with authority. The maybe David Goliath complex of some sort. But also a third thing on that was just, is so new and everything was talked about like this big thing. And don't get me wrong, it's the right option for people. And I'm not saying it's the right option, but you don't know what you don't know. And thankfully I had my sister, Nicole, who is an M&A attorney. So like I had mentioned like the word PE at like something getting together. She's like, you do know that's like what I do. Like as an attorney. So like what ended up happening is I started having like a really nitty gritty kind of understanding from her of not only what does it look like having these conversations, not only like what information they're looking for, but what happens after. What happens over the first year, the second year, the third year, the fifth year? What does that look like, and what she's seen happen? Because at the end of the day, the playbook that's happening in roofing, this is tried and true in every other industry that you can imagine. You look at the shelves in Target and the products that you look at daycare centers, you look at old homes, it's the same playbook. And there are things. So she educated me on a lot of that, and a lot of those things did not align with how I felt. But that's where it really kind of came to meaning of like that. And then starting to look at ad backs and stuff like that, and really getting on the P&L, like, my cell phone, like all these perks that you have as an owner, you got to think about like, is that something that someone bought your business as a value add to them or not? Like, or is it just a perk? And all those perks added up, how does that impact your profit? A. B, if you didn't have any of those, could you replace yourself in the business from a budget standpoint with someone that can operate it at the same level you can?
That's right.
And so for me, I need to not only I'm performing on these numbers, but I need to make sure that I organizationally set things up where I have that and become almost an investor in my business. Because if you build it to sell, it might not be worth selling.
That's right.
For sure. And if you have that, and so value drivers I'm looking at in my mind is, how do I create a flywheel of customers? And then how do I make sure that it is a nice, healthy, steady growth, consistent year over year, while at the same time finding efficiencies from an overhead and then all that stuff. So growing the bottom line and growing the top line consistently, and taking myself out of being the driver of those results and have it be more systems and process based, where it's just plug the key in, put some money in, and then it prints it. So that's how I view it. That is what I'm working on and doing.
And those are the things that make the company more valuable. I always say, if you're building a business to sell, you're building a business.
Yes.
As simply as that, right?
Will I sell North Face?
Would you sell it or not?
I don't know.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, if you don't build it to sell, there is a transition moment. You die. Like, things happen. People die. Are you going to pass it on to your kids? Are you going to sell it when you're 70? Well, you better structure it now so that then you're reaping the rewards all those years before that moment. And that when that time comes, that you say you sell it to PE, you sell it to your employees, you sell it to whatever, you better make sure that it's set up in a way that is successful when you're not there.
That's right. And it's a hard thing. We talked about delegation earlier, and delegation is probably that's a big part of it, right? Like in the early stages of trusting people to do the thing for your business. I can't remember where I heard it before, but it was, and I probably said it on the podcast before also, but there's it was a discussion with Dustin Beegler. We talked about Dustin from Roofing, right? It was a discussion with Dustin early on. Go back to the podcast with Dustin and it's probably on there. Him and Marcus looked at themselves as owners and employees at the same time.
Yeah.
And we all look at ourselves, because a lot of times those early stages are self-employment.
Yeah.
We don't look at it as a business.
Yeah.
So in a business, you will own part of the business, you own stock in the business, and then you fulfill a role in the business.
Yeah.
So you're actually an employee at the same time as you are an owner in the business.
Different hats.
Different hats and different strategies. And where I think the line gets crossed a lot in small business is that because you own stock, you do things differently.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you can work at Target, own stock in Target, and they won't take your opinion more seriously if you're a cashier at Target and you own stock in Target, right? Yeah. Like, even if you're the CEO of Target, right? Like you still have to report to the board.
Oh, yeah.
You
can get fired.
You can get fired.
You may be running the company.
You can get fired. I think that's the realization. And that's the way we should look at it is, and you should fire yourself from those things you're not good at and don't like doing first, right?
Yeah.
Instead of I
should have fired myself so many times.
I'm unemployable, so I don't even know how I was probably the only person that would employ myself. Yeah. So it's a weird thing. But looking at it in those ways and looking at it and building it as a business, who are you looking at now? You've been, you started looking at and joining the groups with Hoffman and those guys around town. And then that seems to have grown into like, now you're looking out externally. Like, where are you looking and what are you seeing others in business, like how are they building their businesses that you're now taking into your business?
Oh, I'm Tommy. Right? Like I went to the Home Service Freedom Conference a couple of years ago. And ever since I went to that, I'm like, I don't feel there is a lot to learn at the roofing conferences, but stepping out of like that roofing echo chamber that we have and going into that industry, like that area and seeing how they ran things and how he built that business, I'm like sucking in. So like I joined part of Home Service Freedom, like got on the stuff, connected with Jim Leslie, like all that thing. And then you're around other like-minded people. You hear what these companies that are the size of 250 million, 500 million, that have already been through it and done it.
Yeah.
Like, how many roofing companies that are 250 million that you know off the top of your head?
Couple.
Okay.
3.
There's tons of them. Not tons, but there's substantially more in those trades and service than in roofing.
Yes. There's I was talking with Adam Sand on the podcast. I think he said something like there are maybe 300 companies above I can't remember if it was 20 or 30 million in roofing across the whole country.
That's it. Yeah. Get in the rooms with people that have been there ahead of you. But then, like, for me, it was like going into that and just having my eyes wide open, like, this is interesting. Like, I mean, just walking through the conference, and this is a knock on myself as a roofer, like the sophistication of the uniforms, the sophistication of like just these small little things that I noticed on how these companies, I mean, you're talking a pool cleaning business, right? Because they're all service-based, low ticket items, and they're very customer oriented on the experience. There's something there.
That's right.
There is something.
They live on that return customer.
They live on that return customer. And if you can bring that into roofing and create that customer for life mindset, which that's something that we have in our company, we call it the CFLM, customer for life mindset, is part of our culture. Like, if you can integrate that not only culturally, operationally, and all those things, I mean, it's going to be a game changer. Like, and I just saw it, like, I'm a visionary. I see it.
Yeah.
And
so that's the first thing you're working on. What is like, man, this is the project for 2026 in terms of that customer service experience that I feel will lead us closer to that type of company.
I mean, honestly, I'm redoing everything. I'm like going through, like, because as you grow real quick, you detach, you delegate and all this stuff, you're out of like the nitty gritty of every step. And like with myself, I had to downsize and cut and change things to make things work. Like when your nut to crack is 10 million and the demand isn't necessarily there, you got to make adjustments. And it just is business. It sucks. It hurts your ego. It hurts all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do as a pragmatic business owner. You have to do it. So like where I'm at, I'm reanalyzing that, but it's all starting from the beginning, right?
So are you starting with marketing then?
The marketing,
got it,
to the CSR, to the sales process, production, but all the while simplification.
Yeah.
Right. Proprietary in nature, simplification. What are the things that lead to the experience? What's the customer journey look like? And just a new lens on it.
Yeah.
Like a new lens. My step-by-step is just going through it all. And it's not an overnight thing.
No.
This is a 1-year whole project of going through things with the ultimate outcome for me of proof of concept of the flywheel and showing the numbers and tracking them so I can know that this is working in the way that I want.
What metrics are you looking at to determine that this is successful or not?
That's a great question. Number one is stop relying on the paid stuff as much.
Yeah.
And making sure that you hone in on the activities and the processes and the strategies that cultivate those referrals first and foremost. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, this is the least amount of marketing I've spent in years.
Yep.
It's force on the organization. How do we do things better? How do we cultivate those things? Because if you can have those and you have proof of concept of those, well, maybe some of them are not as high as converting for this sales purpose, but it's leading to that lifetime experience, and we can move these opportunities over to a service technician to cultivate.
Got it.
As a second point. So proof of concept on these flows, change, paid. You already have those flows lined up, optimizing that revenue at a lower ticket. Now you can spend more and you can start having more qualified, and you're just like kind of kicking that flywheel off by reducing the spend, forcing the changes of the customer experience. You have to like force yourself to change.
Are you focusing more on the repair aspect then, on the lower ticket then? Focus on the repair. I think that
we've always done repairs, and that's one thing we've always done. And I always felt it was unique to us, and I don't know how unique it is, but I operate.
It is unique.
How I operate internally, I have hands-on, high-paid, benefits administered, like hourly field staff that we can fabricate metal. We have a gutter truck. We can run gutters. My guys are trained on, they can do windows, siding repairs, roofing repairs, all that jazz. And I can send them out somewhere and they will fix it.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of companies don't do that model, because it takes a lot more work. right? It's much easier to find a good subcontractor to
Pound it off.
right? Like, and subs don't want to do that work.
Oh, because they'd rather do a full roof and the cost effectiveness
Exactly.
of it.
The economics don't make sense from their business, right? Like, and so, but it's the biggest opportunity.
I mean, you can hit 60, 70, 80, 90% margins on repairs if you price it appropriately,
That's right.
and have the right person, the right process to talk about and have the experience lined up.
So those are hard people to find.
Is it?
What is your process for finding a good repair person, and what does your training process look like to get them to have, because someone that can actually do the repairs, a lot of times they are not a great salesperson.
Yeah.
Or it's the other way around. They might be a good salesperson, but boy, they're not good at repair work,
Honestly,
right?
honestly, like the strategy, and that's one thing that would be part of the runway of
Yes.
finalizing that out. But
Yep.
the people that I have on staff, they are wonderful, wonderful people. And how it has happened is like, I always, like, they're all cost of goods sold.
Yep.
And it comes from the accounting aspect, tying it into that, right? How do they offset their efficiencies? How do you hold accountable on that? But arguably, it was just like, hey, you're a good roofer.
Yeah.
Come on in. Here's my expectations. It's the customer life mindset. You got to take care of them. And then like, all right, hey, you guys, do you think we can do this? Yeah, I can do that. All right, let's try it out. Just trial and error, and just good people, and try and treat them well as best I can with the situations and the benefits that we can. Treat them well, and you'll attract good, like-minded people. Right. But like, have I hired wrong people? Absolutely. But it's funny, like the first ones to leave or the first ones for you to exit are not the part of your culture.
Yep.
What's left behind are the A players, and I have like literally all A players on my team right now.
It takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time to build that team. It takes a lot of guessing, right? Like it takes a lot of guessing.
I'd love to say, I had this whole big strategy. Yeah. No, I didn't have a strategy. It's just figure it out.
Guess.
Figure it out. You're guessing, and you know what? Through attrition and time, you end up with really solid people.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give yourself, that 17-year-old kid tearing off roofs?
Oh, geez. Man, there wasn't a lot going through my mind besides a few things at that age. Slow down.
Nice.
Yeah, slow down. And it's not about the external validation.
Awesome, man. Mm-hmm. Thanks for your time today, Josh. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the Roofing Success Podcast. For more valuable content, visit roofingsuccesspodcast.com. While there, check out our sponsors for exclusive offers, shop for merchandise, and sign up for our newsletter for industry updates and tips. Also, join the Roofing Success Facebook group to connect with other professionals and stay updated on the latest trends. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us continue to bring you top industry insights. The website link is in the description. Thanks for listening.